of something I want to get off my chest. Okay. I have interviewed 371 people in my life. Every radio show, a lot of comedians. It's cool. It's fine. It's dandy. It's whatever it is. It doesn't feel like that many. But I'm telling you, radio hosts are always super supportive. They always share the show. They always go, hey, I went on this guy's show. But freaking comedians are the absolute worst. Comedians are the most self-centered, egotistical, small D energy, angry people you'll ever meet. You know what I love? And this is sarcasm. You know what I love more than anything? Is when a comedian is having a hard time selling out a comedy club. So then the comedian hits up local radio shows to sell tickets and pretends to be their friend. But then when they start to sell out comedy clubs, they don't need you anymore. So I'm not going to say who it is, even though if you look at my podcast feed, you can figure it out. A comedian hit me up. He wasn't really selling out the comedy club in Tampa. And I was flattered that he remembered me from 8 years ago. He's like, hey, can I come on your show? I'm like, sure. I said, all I need you to do is cross-promote me. Share it on your story. You got 150K. I got 3,500K on Instagram. It's a small operation. 50,000 monthly listeners, but people hate to listen to me. I get 70,000 page views. It's funny how it's 70. But the comedian didn't share it. And this Thursday, I'll be interviewing comedian Dave Landau. And I'm a big fan of him since when he worked with Anthony Cumia, and he's a funny guy when he goes on the Drew Lane show. But man, comedians are not it. Remember, I used to text Bert Kreischer during the day and get advice from him. Once he got famous, bye. See you later, alligator. Once you're whipped by Mike Calta, see you later, alligator. It's ridiculous. You all have egos. And you know what's the saddest part about comedians? Is they don't know how to be human. Comedians claim to be your friend. They claim to care about you. They're worse than radio hosts. There's some radio hosts that really care about their audience. Some of my mentors, Brother Weeze, BJ Shea, Mike Calta, just kidding. But comedians are all about them. They don't know how to be human. They usually come from bad childhoods, and the way they got through their childhoods is watching comedy and listening to comedy on the radio. So you know what they do? They want to make others laugh because their whole life they've been traumatized by people that treated them badly. So they want to make the room happy, but they get threatened when someone else does it. It was like when I would go on the Celtic cruise, and it was Bert Kreischer and Ralphie May at the same table. And Ralphie May had that BDE where he knew he was the funniest in the room because he's funnier times a million than Bert. He actually had comedy, not just taking off his shirt when he has nothing else to say. And Bert Kreischer looked pretty, like, oh my God, Ralphie's being funnier than me. But then when I went on a Celtic cruise and it was a bunch of millennial comedians like Mike Cannon that were hilarious, Robert Kelly seemed a little threatened. There's nothing worse than being around comedians consecutively. And you can report this back to them. And people will talk trash all they want. I don't care. It doesn't affect my life. All I care about is the approval of my boss. I guess the approval of my mom to a point. The girl I'm dating that I keep anonymous. I might not even have a girl. Maybe my girl is... No, but I do. My cat, making sure she's fed and entertaining you. So anybody out there that goes, oh my God, they talked bad about you on the radio, or they did this online. Cool. You're talking about me. You know who else gets hated on? People that matter. And you're going to go, oh my God, Hoppe, you're such an egomaniac. You don't think you matter. You think you matter and you don't. Actually, if I didn't matter, I would go into obscurity. But the 25,000 listeners I have per month, obviously I'm doing something right. Now, a lot of those people might be hate viewing. Like I see a lot of these bros that listen to radio shows that view my story but never like my stuff. You think I'm just going to go away. You think that because some fab morning radio host doesn't like me, or some bald shock jock in Cleveland has smeared my name, or some hacky morning show on FLZ that does fake segments, you think because they have a bigger audience and they make more money, you think that's going to like sway me? Like, oh, I give up. I'm done. No, life's too short. I've wanted to do radio since 2001. And I would rather be in my position where I can look myself in the mirror and go, hey, I may not have the biggest show, but I know what I'm doing is right. And what I'm doing is working. And I don't have to lie. I have no skeletons. Everybody knows about my breakup. Congrats. You all had bad breakups. It just wasn't public with a radio show of a girl that would rather be famous than date. That was secretly in the closet. You all these listeners act like they got their lives perfect. If only you knew the personal lives of the radio shows you look up to. I'm like the mafia, man. I keep it quiet. I keep my end of the deal. But I have seen so much infidelity and so much drug use and so much crimes that have been committed within morning radio. I could write a book. And I'm only 32. I could write a book of everything I've seen. I've seen threesomes, not in person, but I've seen radio hosts that are married go back to their room with two girls. Twice, 2 different shows. But no, they're married and happy. Their marriages are as real as the segments they do.
Happy hour. Happy hour.
It's time for Hoppe in the morning.
RyanHoppyRadio.com.
Happy hour will be right back.
You probably had Taco Bell before.
Whenever we're going outside, all I smell is poop.
In the nuts, and we'll call it a day.